Unit 2, Lesson 2A, Exercise 2. 1.
What? What are you doing? Get away from me! Are you... You're not. This isn't possible. Get away from me!
2.
This bed is really, uncomfortable. What's the time? 2 in the morning? And I have to get up early.
3.
Yes, I know. Who'd have thought it? She's already got the best-looking boyfriend in town and the richest parents, and now she's got a place at the best university. It isn't fair, is it? Everything in her life is always so perfect. She's so lucky.
4.
Oh, hi. Yes, I was just wondering if you... How are you? Okay? Good. Yes, I was wondering if you were doing anything tonight. You're probably busy. Yes, I expect so. Don't worry if you are. Just forget it. I'll call you soon. Oh, you aren't busy? Well, would you like to,
5.
My phone? Where is it? I think I left it... No, hang on. Oh, it's okay. Phew, I've got it. It's here at the bottom of my bag. Well, that's lucky. I don't know what I'd do without my phone.
6.
I don't believe it. 6-1 we lost. And we were 1-0 up at half-time. What a disaster. And it was the last match of the season too. We needed to win it. But we lost.
7.
That's strange. I'm sure Jack said the party was tomorrow. But I just got a text from him saying, "Where were you?" It doesn't make sense. And when I phoned him, he didn't answer. Oh, very weird. I wonder what's going on.
8.
Oh no! I didn't realise it was meant to be a surprise. I'm so sorry. I told Anna all about it. I've spoiled everything. I feel really bad about it.
Lesson B, Exercise 5.
When I was about 12, I went to the Notting Hill Carnival in London with my dad. We travelled there by underground. At about midday, we got off the train, walked up the steps and came out of the station. I was really shocked. I'd never seen so many people in one place. A band was playing reggae music and people were dancing in the street. As I was walking along the street with my dad, I stopped to watch the band for a few minutes. But when I turned around, my dad had gone. I was really scared. Fortunately, my dad had written his mobile number on a piece of paper. I walked into a shop and asked the shop assistant to phone the number. When my dad answered and heard my voice, he was really shocked. He hadn't noticed that I wasn't with him.
Lesson C, Exercise 3.
Poppy Day is the day when people in Britain and other countries commemorate the soldiers who died for their country in 2 world wars and later conflicts. It's on the 11th of November every year, because World War I officially ended on the 11th of November 1918. Every year at exactly 11 o'clock in the morning, there is a 2-minute silence. This tradition began in 1919, 1 year after the end of World War I, when there was a 2-minute silence in London. It was a chance for everybody to stop what they were doing and remember the people who had died.
Lesson C, Exercise 5.
Poppy Day is the day when people in Britain and other countries commemorate the soldiers who died for their country in 2 world wars and later conflicts. It's on the 11th of November every year, because World War I officially ended on the 11th of November 1918. Every year at exactly 11 o'clock in the morning, there is a 2-minute silence. This tradition began in 1919, 1 year after the end of World War I, when there was a 2-minute silence in London. It was a chance for everybody to stop what they were doing and remember the people who had died. This is how one British newspaper described the event.
At exactly 11 o'clock, all the cars, trams, and other vehicles stopped. Everyone stood very still. The silence became deeper. It spread over the whole city. It was a silence which was almost pain. It was the spirit of memory.
John Mccrae was a Canadian doctor who fought as an officer in World War I. He saw terrible things during that time. There were sometimes hundreds of casualties in one day. Thousands and thousands of young soldiers fought and died in the muddy, wet fields of Flanders, a part of Belgium. In those same muddy fields, red flowers grew, poppies. Mccrae imagined that the poppies were growing there to mark the places where young men had died. He found the sight of the poppies very moving and wrote a poem about them. In the poem, we hear the dead soldiers speak. It begins with this line: "In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row." John Mccrae died in battle in 1918. An American woman called Moira Michael read his poem and bought some poppies. She wore one of them and sold the others. She gave the money to ex-soldiers in the United States. Other people copied the idea. They made poppies out of paper and sold them to raise money for ex-soldiers and the families of soldiers who had died. Selling poppies became a tradition which spread from country to country. Today, poppies are sold in many countries around the world. When people buy and wear poppies, they are remembering all the soldiers who fought and died in World War I between 1914 and 1918, and in later wars. And although World War I happened about 100 years ago, people do still remember. In the UK alone, about 40 million poppies are sold each year.
Lesson D. Exercise 1.
Hi, Daisy. What have you got there? It's a box that my dad found in the attic. It's full of my old things.
Cool. Let me see.
This is my school book from primary school.
You used to have really neat handwriting.
And look, here's a photo of me when I was 5.
Did you used to wear dresses?
Yes, all the time.
How sweet. You never wear dresses now. And look at your hair. It's blonde.
I know. I didn't used to have red hair.
You used to be pretty.
What do you mean, I used to be pretty?
Lesson D. Exercise 4.
Did you used to wear dresses?
I didn't used to have red hair.
You used to be pretty.
Lesson E. Exercise 1.
Identity crisis. In the Bourne trilogy, Jason Bourne has acute amnesia. He spends 3 films trying to recall his own past. "I don't know who I am," he says. "I don't know where I'm going, none of it." And in a 1996 film called Memento, the main character, Leonard Shelby, tries to solve a murder even though he has no short-term memory, which means he cannot remember what has just happened or store any new memories. These 2 kinds of memory loss provide exciting plots for thrillers and mystery stories. But in real life, they are not so entertaining.
Emily's story. One day in September 2001, a 33-year-old woman from Texas, USA, got into her car and began to drive to work. She can't remember exactly what happened next or why, but 10 hours later, she was still driving. She had driven all the way from Texas to Santa Fe, about 1,000 kilometers. She didn't know anyone in Santa Fe, so she checked into a motel. And then the situation got worse. When I woke up the next morning, I sat up and I didn't recognize the room, she said. I didn't recognize the bag that was sitting on the chair or the clothes that were lying over the chair. I didn't recognize myself in the mirror. I didn't know my name. When the police found Emily and took her back to her family, she didn't recognize her own children. Emily's doctors concluded that she had a condition called dissociative fugue. Patients wake up one day lost. They have no problem remembering new information, but they've lost most of their past. There is no physical damage to the brain. For this reason, many doctors doubt these patients' stories. Perhaps they are using memory loss as an excuse for starting their life again. In most cases, including Emily's, they gradually make a recovery.
Henry's story.
Henry, known for years as HM, is the most famous amnesiac in medical history. His brain was damaged during surgery, and as a result he suffered from a condition called anterograde amnesia. Although he could recall his childhood clearly, new experiences disappeared from his mind after a few minutes. He lived the rest of his life in the present, unable to remember what had happened 5 minutes earlier. It's like waking from a dream, he said. Although sufferers from anterograde amnesia cannot memorize new information, they can learn new skills. For example, patients who have guitar lessons gradually get better and better at the guitar, but every time they play, they believe that they're picking up a guitar for the first time. Henry lived with his condition for about 50 years. His memory did not improve in that time. Suzanne Corkin, a neuroscientist, studied Henry's condition for more than 40 years and visited him regularly. But each time she arrived, he introduced himself as if they were meeting for the first time. One day, Dr. Corkin took Henry to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in the USA for tests. As they were walking along a corridor, she asked him if he remembered where they were. "Of course," he replied. "We're at MIT." Dr. Corkin was shocked. Had his memory suddenly improved? "How do you know that?" she asked him. Henry laughed and pointed to a student who was wearing an MIT sweatshirt. Dr. Corkin realized that Henry's memory hadn't come back, but at least he had reminded her of his sense of humor.
Lesson E. Exercises 7 and 8. Ugly. Exercises 2 and 3.
Hello, Hayley. Did you hear what happened to my friend Alicia last weekend?
No, I didn't. Tell me.
Oh, okay. Well, it was her birthday on Saturday, her 18th birthday. But she hadn't arranged anything special, no party or anything. I'm not sure why. Maybe she just didn't feel like it, or her parents said no. Or perhaps she had too much schoolwork to do and didn't want to organise anything. Anyway, the day before her birthday, on Friday, she changed her mind. She decided that she did want a party after all. But by now it was too late to send invitations, even by email or text.
Oh, really? So, what did she do?
Well, that evening, she decided to put a message about the party on her Facebook page. It was an invitation saying all her friends could come if they wanted to. Unfortunately, her Facebook page wasn't private. Anybody could read it. And she mentioned her address in the invitation. Come to 46 Blackwall Street at 8 o'clock, it said, or whatever.
Oh, that was a mistake.
I know. So the next day, about 200 people turned up at her house for the party, and about 180 of those were complete strangers. She locked the door and called the police. Eventually, everyone went home.
What a terrible experience.
I know. When it was all over, her parents insisted that she remove all of her details from Facebook. She can still use the computer, but she's banned from using social networking sites. And I don't think she'll have a birthday party next year.
Lesson F. Exercise 4.
That was lucky.
That was unlucky.
That was a mistake.
What a laugh.
What a nightmare.
What a terrible experience.
What a surprise.
How exciting.
How funny.
How frightening.